episode of Website Success. I'm your host, Chrissy Ray, and today we are diving into the world of WordPress plugins. And specifically, I'm going to talk about the 5 must-have types of plugins that every WordPress website should have. And as I discuss each of them, I'm going to include some examples of specific plugins for you to consider, along with my own personal favorites. So let's get started. The first plugin type I want to talk about is SEO plugins, search engine optimization plugins. You might have heard that WordPress is really great for search engine optimization, and some of that functionality is already built in. So, for example, WordPress will automatically create a sitemap that you can submit to search engines. But if you really want to up your SEO game, you will need a plugin to customize that sitemap, add meta descriptions, create your optimized page titles, and much more. And there are several SEO plugins out there that you may have heard of, including Yoast SEO, SEO Press, and Rank Math. And all 3 of those plugins do more or less the same things. They allow you to optimize across your whole website as well as within individual pages and posts. And they also offer on-page suggestions, so specific on-page suggestions for your content based on your focus keywords. So for example, if you go into a post and you say that your keyword or key phrase is search engine optimization, then it will give you some suggestions for optimizing that page for that keyword. Now, I have personally used all 3 of those plugins on different sites, and while I've used Yoast SEO the most, I haven't really settled on a favorite for this just yet. I do plan to do some more testing to see how each of those plugins affects the performance of a website, so make sure you are following me on YouTube to catch that when I share my results. Now, the next type of plugin I want to talk about is analytics. And for this discussion, I'm going to talk specifically about Google Analytics since that's what I use. Now, in order to know if you're meeting your goals for your website, you need to know things like where your users are coming from, what they're doing on your website, what devices and browsers they're using, and other stuff like that. And that's where Google Analytics comes into play. Now, some of those SEO plugins that I already mentioned, they do allow you to add your Google Analytics tracking code to their settings, and if that's what you want to do, that's totally fine. However, I usually use Google's Sitekit plugin for this purpose because it goes way beyond that, and it has some other features that I like to use on my websites. The Sitekit plugin is really nice if you're just getting started, especially because it'll create your Google Analytics and your Google Search Console properties for you if you don't already have them. If you do already have them, it's going to allow you to connect to those existing properties. The only thing it doesn't do with those is it doesn't automatically submit your sitemap for indexing, which maybe that's a feature request that we've got to ask for. Now, Sitekit also lets you connect things like Google's page speed insights, so you can check your website's performance, lets you connect AdSense, which is another Google property, so you can easily place ads on your website, and also the Google Tag Manager, so you can add tags to track things like conversions and other ads on your website. If you're running ads on Google, not using AdSense because that's really using Google's ads on your website, but if you're using ads, Google's ads, then you can add the ads conversion ID to the analytics section in Google Sitekit, and then you can also track your conversion events with the Tag Manager. I know that's a little bit more advanced, so if you haven't started using Google Ads, it may not make a lot of sense, but that is something to keep in mind for the future. Now, there are some other analytics plugins out there like Monster Insights, and you can also find plugins for non-Google Analytics. Just make sure that you're using something to track your website's usage so you can make some educated decisions in the future about your website and really track to make sure that you're reaching your goals for your website. Now let's talk about optimization plugins. There are actually 2 subtypes here, and those are going to be your image optimization plugins and also plugins that optimize the scripts and database and other aspects of your website. And you have a lot of options for both. Now, as far as the image optimization plugins, there are different ones like Smush, EWWW, which I'm not really sure what it stands for, but EWWW Image Optimizer, Short Pixel, Tiny PNG's got an image optimizer, and Imagify, and there are others out there. I personally use Imagify, and I have an unlimited plan with them because I upload a lot of images, and it's only about $10 a month to optimize all of them. As for the other optimization plugins, there are, again, many options, and you can find things like WP Rocket, Perf Matters, WP Optimize, and Autoptimize, which I think I'm saying correctly. I usually use WP Rocket or Perf Matters. Both of them are premium plugins, which means you do have to pay for them, but I think that they're worth it. They both let you do things like minify your CSS and JavaScript code, which means basically getting rid of all the white space and making them as small as possible. They also let you optimize your database, add lazy loading for your media, like your images and videos, and much more. One of the things that I like about Perf Matters is that it also has a script manager that lets you disable scripts site-wise or on a per post or per page basis. That way, if a script is loading on every page, which happens with some plugins and some themes, and you really don't need it to be there, then you can disable it site-wide and then only enable it on the post or the pages where it needs to load, which can really speed up your website. Now, I should also mention that there are also several caching plugins out there, but if you're using a really good WordPress optimized hosting provider, then they probably already have that built into your hosting. And a lot of WordPress hosting providers don't actually let you use additional caching plugins. So if you're considering a caching plugin, make sure you check with your hosting provider before you do that. The next type of plugin I want to talk about is form builders. WordPress doesn't have form capabilities built in, which is a pet peeve of a lot of folks, but it just means that you can't create forms in WordPress without some kind of add-on. So that's where these form builders come in. And you have a lot of options for this, including WP Forms, Ninja Forms, Forminator, and Gravity Forms. And all of those options have a drag and drop builder. And there are other options out there that don't have the drag and drop builder, like Contact Form 7. But since you're a beginner, most likely, I'm talking about the form builders that have a drag and drop builder. And again, all of those plugins they have a free version except for Gravity Forms, which is premium only. But that means that you can try out these form builders to create some simple forms for your website. The free version is really simplified, very limited on the types of fields that you can have, and the pro versions or premium versions of all of them have a lot more functionality. Now, I personally use Gravity Forms because it's very, very well supported. Support's amazing with it, and it has a ton of integration. So I can integrate my forms with Zapier, or I use Active Campaign or MailChimp or ConvertKit, or I can add payment requests to it. I can add signatures to it. I can add surveys and polls and all kinds of other functionality. So I really like it. Plus, I've been using it since 2011, and right now it's 2023, so that's 12 years. So that means it's been in my toolkit for a while, and I'm really used to using it. So that's my personal preference. Now, last but not least, we have security plugins. There are many, many, many things you can do to keep your WordPress website secure, including keeping the software updated, limiting access to the dashboard, requiring secure passwords, using two-factor authentication, using SSL, adding a firewall, and a lot more. And some of those things don't require plugins, but some of them do. And that's where security plugins come into play. They can give you some of those additional protections by implementing many of those features that I already mentioned, like the two-factor authentication and requiring strong passwords, but they can also do things like limit login attempts. So if somebody's trying to hack into your website, they're going to try the same username with different passwords over and over again. If it detects that, then it could limit logins for that user or IP address or whatever you've got configured. And it can also do things like monitor file changes, log user activity, and a lot more. And there are a lot of security plugins out there, including WordFence, Malcare, All-in-One Security, iTheme Security, and Securi, which is spelled S-U-C-U-R-I. So it's not security, it's Securi. And my team uses iTheme Security Pro, which is a premium plugin, because it covers all of the core security features that we need for our websites. All right, folks, that wraps up today's episode on the 5 must-have types of plugins for your WordPress website. We've covered the essentials like SEO plugins, analytics tools, optimization plugins for both images and site performance, form builders, and security plugins. The key takeaway here is that these plugins are not just optional add-ons. They really are essential tools that can make or break your website success. So if you haven't already, make sure to install and configure plugins in these categories to ensure that your website is optimized, secure, and ready for success. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel where I'll be sharing some more in-depth tests and insights and demonstrations of these plugins. And if you found this episode helpful, please subscribe and leave a review and let a friend know. But until next time, this is Chrissy Ray signing off on Website Success. I'll catch you next time.